it's come for trading now, and it was just a gorgeous card. That same picture I think was used in a Gimples version. That same him swinging has been used in a bunch of different cards.
Luca Nation, episode 609 of Lucas Tigers and Bronzo My, and this is a special one. This is a partnership episode with Collectable. Cage, get it right for us. It's the
Fractional report brought to you by Collectable before the opening bell.
And
you got it.
The Fractional report brought to you by Collectable before the opening bell. And I wanted to jump on here, guys, with to give you a little bit of peek inside my brain, inside my heart, because I saw a post from Chris Hodge, and I really like this post. And it talked about kind of sports media being broken into two different categories, right? So one is for the everyday fan, right? And kind of ESPN was the IE on that. But with more and more stake in the game, right? People have, they bet on sports, they have like the prop bets, they have the same day parlay, in-game parlay, cards. We have all of this stake in the game when it comes to sports now. There's also the other crowd that you want like thorough, researched, really valuable content. And I want to be honest, I think we fall into this latter, into the second category. And I very much pride myself, and I'm kind of edgy. I'm a little bit like a porcupine. I'm very confrontational, argumentative by nature, Cage. But guys, it's genuinely because I want the people on the other side of this to win. I want our listeners to do well. I want them to have success. I want them to be educated. I want them to – I'm never going to hit a home run for them, but I want them to start on first base, if that makes sense. And the two plays that I had recently for you guys, one was Giannis, right? We were talking about how the Bucks are playing better. Giannis is going to be the first player in history that's going to have 25 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assist games for 3 years in a row. Oscar Robertson did that. Will Chamberlain did that. But the other guy, Cage, that I want to kick today off is Jason Tatum. So all week, if you guys listen to our show, I talked about Jason Tatum being kind of that next guy up. Now, not the next guy up as in he's going to overtake Giannis as the young face of the league, but we just saw it with Ja Morant. When his team performance did better and his personal performance exceeded expectations, cards started to move. I think the exact same thing is going to happen with Jason Tatum cards, Cage. And what makes this amazing is the card on Collectable is a gorgeous Jason Tatum card that I think if there's any Tatum collectors out there, they're going to want this card. So I say all that just so you guys know where we come from. You know where my heart's at, where my mind's at, because we genuinely, Cage and I both, we want to see you guys win with the research we do. So it's not just hot takes or any of that. So I wanted to kick things off with that, if that's okay, Cage.
I mean, it's perfectly fine. I think it was 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. That was a card that I talked about as, looking like a little bit of a bargain. Tatum. I'm not as sold on Tatum. I mean, I just look at the data, on what's up, what's down, and we really looked at that one as it's one of these like high-end cards of a player, and that's where the money is gravitating. So if there are people who are investing in Tatum, then that's that's the way to go. Tatum, I've got to tell you why I'm not a fan of him. Right, this is from a couple of seasons ago, and it seems to be like a repeating thing. Right, after his third year, he was he looked good. Right, I mean he's 17, 18, 19. So this is after the 19-20 season. Summer of 20, season ended, and he came out and started doing press. And he started complaining about the refs. And he said the refs don't give him star treatment the way that other players get star treatment. And that he ranked, 23 points. It would have been more. But he only had like 4 or 5 free throw attempts per game. And obviously somebody like Giannis gets a ton more. And he basically was complaining and saying, hey, I'm not getting that type of treatment.
And that makes him uninvestable for you?
No, just it started off on why I don't like him as a player. You know me. When I talk about players, I say I like guys who have that. They're good on the court and they have a little something extra. Tatum is the exact opposite. He looks good on the court, but he's missing that something extra. He's played now, this is his 5th season. He never has taken the bull by the horns. He's never taken the alpha role on his team. As a matter of fact, all the news articles out there this entire year have been about whether or not him and Jaylen Brown can coexist on the same team and whether or not one of them should have been traded instead of him going out and being the superstar that he was supposed to be on his team. Instead, he talked about complaint 2 years ago. This past year, he was an all-NBA snub and complained about that because he lost a $32 million bonus on his contract because he wasn't all-NBA. It's just a pattern of Tatum. I'm sure he has all the talent in the world, but when look, investing in character doesn't always work. I said Devontae Graham was a great character guy, right? He's never going to make me millions of dollars, but I like that he had that little extra something. Tatum seems to be missing that little extra. He's not putting team on his back.
You're not getting married to him. You're investing.
Yeah, but I am. My money's getting married to him. That's what investing is. So, I talked about the Tatum card as a buy. It's just on Tatum himself. He's one of those guys. When the shots start getting fired, you'll run. It's like Suicide Squad. When it gets messy, you'll run. He's that kind of guy. I don't see him leading the team. Giannis will put a 50 piece up and then go to Chick-fil-A. That's a leader. Right, that's a guy I think You
must have watched the Suns Bucks game today. You have a little recency bias.
Maybe
you missed the Nets Celtics game and you watched the Bucks Suns game. Am I right?
No, I saw Tatum had one great.
Tatum
had a great game today too. I don't watch the games. I let you watch the games. I researched the numbers. And the Tatum card is a good one, right? Because it's one of those cards that if Tatum does well, and if people want to invest in Tatum, remember. What are we saying now? What are we telling our listeners? Don't invest in what you think is the right one. Invest in where everyone thinks is the right. So I may not like Tatum because he's a complainer and doesn't look to me like somebody who's going to carry a team. But if the rest of the collecting and investing community likes him and they watch him score 50 points a game and the Celtics don't lose, right, and they're going to make a playoff push and he's going to do well and drop 50 in the playoffs, that's where everyone's going to want to be. Right?
But here's where it gets good, Cage.
Shoot.
They don't need to make a playoff push because there's an opportunity because there's only one card on Collectable. That's a Tatum card. It has the revered PSA 10-10, 10 grade, 10 auto, flawless. It's a gorgeous card. It's literally as beautiful of a card as you could buy in today's day and age. Yep. It's vertical. People don't like horizontal. So it has all of it checks all the boxes. And all you need is the lead up to the playoff run, not the actual playoff run. Buy the hype, sell the news. So if people are looking, who's the next Ja Morant, so to speak? Who's the next guy to get me 20, 30, 40% in the next month? I think that's your guy.
It's very possible. It's definitely a card that we talked about. So how's it looking over the last couple of weeks while the Celtics were doing well? How's that card looking? Give us the numbers on it. What did it IPO at? What's the market price? What's the market cap? What did it IPO at? Is it down from the IPO? Is it up? How's it done the last couple of weeks? Because now I'm curious. I know I did this. I can go find my notes from 2 weeks ago and see where it was at.
Cage, I have it all up here. Don't you worry your little tongue. Go ahead.
Yes, so I don't feel well, so I didn't want to run and get my notes.
Dude, you're all good. So it IPO'd at $46,000. It's at $46,920, $10.20 per share. I'll pull it up for you guys.
So it's flat.
It's flat. It's up 2% the last month. But I think if you've been watching the Celtics have been playing well, but Tatum hasn't put up huge numbers. I think recently, if you look at his stats, he's over that 30 mark. Today, he went over 50. That's player performance plus team performance. Am I sharing my screen, Cage?
You are.
Cool. So look, this is the card. Cool. 2 out of 5, 3-color card, or like kind of the in-depth, perfect auto, vertical 2 out of 5, 10-10. So, we
talked about this one, guys. The 10-10, right? The Luka 10-10. Remember how much that sold for? It was obviously that was a national treasure in '99, but this is out of 5. It's flawless. It's gorgeous. This is game worn.
Yes, it is, my friend.
So, this is a really nice piece. It really is. And it's one of those ones where if you're out there looking to invest in Tatum, right, this is a nice card to invest in. You don't get much better than this. We had a question this morning on our show and whatnot. We were talking about Michael Jordan PSA 10, right? This is a great example. Good card. And somebody said, hey, I got $7,500. Should I buy Michael Jordan PSA 8? And my answer was no. My answer was There's a lot of the 8s. There's not that many 10s. It's not the rarest card in the world. But my suggestion was, why don't you take the investment and put it in the PSA 10 that's available as fractional shares? Same thing here, right? Like we've talked about Tatum on our show for people who want to buy into Tatum. You know, maybe you buy the green parallel I talked about. Maybe buy the silver parallel you talked about. Maybe talk about all these other ones. Well, maybe the play is if you have $1,000 to invest or two, maybe you get in on this card because this is the card that a big money investor is going to try to get into, which is what we've seen over the last year of this hobby, right? We've seen so many buyouts. We've also seen big cards being bought, whether it's Mahomes cards, Luka cards, Giannis cards recently, you know, huge card. This is the kind of card somebody looks for if they say, hey, you know what? I got to get a Tatum card. They're not probably going to go stacking up silvers or greens. They're going to go, hey, where can I find a game-used RPA that's numbered out of 5? This is
it's literally
it's a good card.
That's a one-of-one card. All right, let me riff some data to you, and you tell me if there's anything that sticks out. Got to give a shout out to Collectable. So Jack, new guy on the team, does an amazing job sending us data. Right, there's so much here, Cage. I hope we do it justice to break it down over the next 30, 45 minutes. We'll do our best we can. So we got vintage flat, ultra modern's down a little bit. If we kind of break it down by sport, basketball is down 1%, baseball down 2%, maybe because of the lockout. Remember, this is a lot of cards. So these numbers, they're not going to be too crazy because it's a benchmark. Hockey up 5%. By the way, if you're watching, Cage, Austin Matthews, you remember you gave that play?
Yeah, for a couple of
guys killing it right now in hockey. Golf down 2%, tennis down 3%, boxing down 5%, wrestling up 0.25%, and soccer up 1%. Really the biggest.
Remember that Austin Matthews play we made? And one of our original listeners, who's a Pokemon guy, doesn't know anything. He bought the Young Guns PSA 10 for like $300.
Did he really?
Said, hey, I took a leap of faith on you guys. And remember last week he sent us a picture of his story. He was getting $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 offers for the card. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. We don't expect you to take a leap of faith. Andrew's got the data. You don't have to take a leap of faith here. Go for it.
So, I mean, I could pause there. I mean, the two big losses of the week, if you kind of just break it down, is 2004, 2005 Exquisite Dual Logo Man, Bird Magic BGS 9, down 40%. That to me is really surprising given that there's a Magic Johnson documentary coming out. And to me, Magic Johnson is the kind of guy that would thrive with a documentary. There's so much about him that's revered, but I think we don't know. So that's surprising. Another one was the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the ball down, the 38,387th point signed ball, down 12% year to date.
I mean, does any of that have to do with LeBron dropping 56 and inching closer to breaking Kareem's record?
No one really cares about LeBron. We've talked about it. Other than, but now Gary tweeted about let's buy LeBron. So let's just talk about LeBron cards on the show. Just buy them all.
Well, there's a lot of LeBrons on here. You know, one of the things that surprised me is how well he's playing. Giannis, the Gold Immaculate BGS 9, which is the one that's left, it actually came down a little bit. But remember, it had 20% gains, so it's just a healthy pullback, down about 11% this week after 2 big weeks of gains. It's difficult. We don't know where Flawless and Immaculate stand when you compare it to that National Treasure. You can find some comps on this. Obviously compared to the National Treasures, it's a heck of a card, and a heck of a value. So just another one to potentially look at. Baseball's been a little weird. You want to say that, that there's no real impact because now we're actually missing games, right? But if you look at the last, say, I don't know, 7 weeks, however long we've had this. February is a short month. We were slightly down last week, flat the week before, slightly up the week before, a little down, little up, little down. So there really hasn't been kind of like a crazy reaction to the announcement of missed games and the lockout continuing into the season. And if you look at individual cards, like the Mookie Betts Bowman Chrome Blue Refractor gained everything back, 30% this week that it had given up in the weeks prior. But the Corey Seager Bowman Chrome Orange Refractor didn't. It was flat this week after losing 28.6. So, if you want to look at the Mookie as kind of like a leading indicator, you think maybe
I think it is. Cage, I think with Trout being out so much the last 2 years, Mookie's kind of become that indicator where people, if they want to buy safe into baseball, I think a lot of people choose Mookie over Trout now.
So I have one I want you to pull up. but it is complete. This is straight from the numbers. It's completely out of my comfort zone. The talent, he's a GOAT, so I should know more about him than I do. But it is 100% in your world because this is what you played, let alone what you watch. Today you were telling me about Man U versus Man City and all this craziness, and then some man was playing in the U, and then some man was playing in the City, and they were playing against each other. I don't know what the hell was going on. Manu.
City Derby. It was a joy.
Was it a draw?
No, no. City killed them, destroyed them.
All right, well, you're happy. You don't like the U.
I like a beautiful brand of soccer. I like a beautiful brand of basketball.
Well, this will be right in your wheelhouse because if you don't like the U, that means you're not a Ronaldo guy. It means you like Mr. Messi, right? And I say this because I've talked about this basket before, and I think a lot of people who are investing in fractional don't maybe love the basket play because, it's easy to get a comp for one card, but the baskets are a little bit different. So if you wouldn't mind, can you pull up the Messi basket, the Messi rookie basket? Right? Yep. If you wouldn't mind, just so we can look at the cards that are in that. Guys, just straight on the numbers, then I'll let Andrew go. This thing IPO with 9,200 shares at $10 per share, which is $92,000. 2 weeks ago it was 5.5, last week 5, down to 4.94. Why that is interesting to me, it means it's actually cracked down below 50%. It means it's now less than half of what the IPO price was. It means you're looking at something, that's trading in the $45,000 market cap. Is that what you got there?
I did 92,000. It's at 45.4 right now.
Yep, 45.4. So you tell me, is this something that people are just not looking at now because we have basketball getting into crunch time, football just ending? We're all talking about baseball, hockey is heating up, and we got the World Cup coming up. You think Messi's team is actually going to be a good team, from a betting perspective and whatnot going into this? You actually like, Mr. Messi, which is a kid's book that I used to have as a child, Mr. Messi with a Y. Talk to me about this because to me, on the chart that you just shared, that chart is, it's one of these kind of things. And, there's some good cards in here, some Messi rookies. He's a GOAT.
So there's basically two schools of thought. So one, it could have been the IPO was overpriced. Right? That could be one school of thought. So that might be A. But let's talk about B. So I was listening to Ray Dalio, New World Order today, and just trying to learn about
NWO. I didn't know Ray Dalio was in that, man. I know Hulk Hogan was in it, right?
Yeah.
Sting.
Can you believe there might be two New World Order? NWA.
The Outsiders. NWA is very different. That's Eazy-E. That's
Ice Cube. Yeah, Dre. But the point is, he said the biggest mistake investors make is they think that a stock is a good stock or good asset to buy when it's going up. And when something's going down, they think it's a bad asset to buy.
Right.
And it sounds so funny, but it's actually more true than it seems. And they'll take my word for it. I listened to this 15 minutes ago. New World Order. You can listen to it by Ray Dalio. And he made his money buying good assets on a discount, right? So let's say hypothetically that this wasn't IPO'd at too high of a price. And this is just a sell-off because people want to invest in the new shiny toy. Now you're getting Messi, a good asset in our sphere, at a discount.
Yeah. I mean, either way. And you're getting Messi in the year the World Cup is being played, most likely his last World Cup. I mean, listen, LeBron's going to play till he's 117 years old. So maybe Messi will have another World Cup. Who the heck knows? And a World Cup where he's got a good team around him. This is the kind of stuff I was looking for from you, man. Not Ray Dalio. That shit I can do. Soccer. This is your world. You played soccer.
You've never read a book. You watch movies.
I don't read books. So that
can't be your world.
Just like Thornton Mellon said.
But I know you watched the game, so I left that.
If a book is any good, they are going to make a movie out of it. I'm in and out in 2 hours.
So you caught me. It's actually an audiobook on YouTube. They did make a movie out of it.
There we go. So Messi could possibly also be something to jump into now because we are a couple months away from the World Cup. How's PSG doing?
PSG's doing well.
He plays for, right?
Champions League this week.
Doing well. Champions League this week. You expect PSG to do something in that league? Do you expect them to have a good performance with Messi actually playing well? Look what I'm doing.
Are you spoon feeding me? Are you spoon feeding me?
Yes. Well, we can move off soccer if you like.
So that's
we can get right back to
you didn't like where I went with Ray Dalio, so I'll talk about performance. Yeah. So coming home,
I like where you went. Listen, buying a good asset at a discount is great. I actually love that. But I also want you to talk about Messi.
Well, what's to say? I mean, the guy's a great. But no, they have a game this Wednesday versus Madrid coming home 1-0. But I've said it before. People listen to our show, whether maybe this is their first episode. He has the rare opportunity to win Champions League and a World Cup, right? And he's in honestly a good position to win both. PSG's playing well. Mbappe is actually the best player right now in the best form for that team. But Messi gets to pick out passes. I think if you guys watched the last game, you know that they're a promising team. So there's that in the round of 16. They're already leading Madrid. And going into the World Cup, you have Argentina, which I think is a favorite, given that it's Messi's last World Cup. But I don't even think he has to win the World Cup for the conversation to start. And you guys know I'm a big hype machine. Buy the hype, sell the news. So how's that? Is that better?
That was much better. I really liked it. I did. You did really good there. I mean, that was about as good as I could have expected, you know? I mean, I'm loving life.
Let's talk a little bit about Zion.
Ooh, nice. I like Zion.
Back with the team. Back with the team. His cards are now, after not playing at all this season, but having a great last season, I discovered, I can't believe I didn't realize, he's basically the same price as John Morant for comparable cards, within 10-20%. Do you think his cards get a bump? I personally don't. I think the narrative on Zion is he's overweight, he's injury prone, and he has to do something significant to become cardboard relevant again and start winning the love of the hobby. That's my own personal take. We'll see, because he might be playing in 2 weeks, and this New Orleans team might sneak into the playoffs, and this gets really interesting.
Listen, I think there is. I think there's an increase on him. I will go for a couple different angles on Zion. One, I know it's different. I know it's a different player. I know, Zion came in with all the hype and all the money and makes more money off the court than he does even on. But look at Embiid. People are looking at Embiid this year at an MVP level, and he's looking great. Embiid didn't really even play that much in his first couple years, And when Zion played, he's light years ahead of where Embiid was at that age, right? You got to think, at least to me, you're going to know when he comes back, right? When he plays, you're going to know. Because if he plays and he comes back hungry and he plays with some fire, there's no excuse for him not to, right? His team is winning. His team is about to make a playoff push. And he's watching the league around him catch up to him, right? And you want to see, if you're going to invest in this guy, you want to see somebody playing with a chip. You want to see somebody playing, okay, John Morant, he was not as good as me because I was drafted ahead of him. And Ja's getting MVP talk. I'm going to come out there and I'm going to dunk on everybody. And I'm going to do 360 dunks. And people are going to forget about this Ja character. And they're going to watch me in the playoffs. And I'm going to get further in the playoffs than him. That's what you kind of want. And you're going to know whether that happens or if you got a cuddly teddy bear out there playing and laughing and just, passing the ball and not going for the jugular. I wouldn't want to see that. I think you're going to know pretty quick what you're going to get from Zion. But as far as the cards go, I think the hype alone is going to be enough. The hype alone is going to be enough for certain of his cards to move up. 100%. 100%. Especially the high-end ones haven't even gone down that much. People have enough. Big people with big money have big money invested in Zion, and they're not going to be dumping that stuff. So that's another thing to consider.
What's success for this Pelicans team? Make it into the play-in game. They're 2 games ahead of the Portland Trailblazers, which is hilarious.
I mean, it depends how you spin the narrative, right? You could say that it's almost already been a successful year because they put this team together with trades and no Zion. Their top guy's not there. They pieced it together with chewing gum and tape. They went out and got McCollum, which is obviously another great character guy. But yeah,
he is a good character guy. You're absolutely right.
I would say
Pelicans, your new favorite team.
Because they have my boy Devontae.
They got character
up and down, right? And Mountain Dew. I like Mountain Dew. So we got Zion and character.
Willie Green doesn't do anything for you?
I don't know about I have to research his character. I'll have to do some research on him. But I'm sure he's a great guy.
Played for the Sixers.
Sure. Well, then I don't know. I don't like anything that came out of Philly. Look up, man. I'm gonna make him, guys.
Gross.
Look up, man. He's a Philly guy.
So what's your intuition say? Are we gonna get cuddly Zion, or are we gonna get dunk in your face Zion?
I'm hoping for dunk in your face Zion. I got to tell you, I really am. I'm hoping for dunk in your face Zion. I really want to see that. I really would like to see dunk in your face Zion. Can I tell you something? I think you did a really good job with the valuation discussion on the Messi. And part of it is, we have to be honest. If we think an IPO was high, right? If we think an IPO was high, we have to say, all right, look, people are realizing it now, right? And I want to talk about a card that I think is really cool, but I think really got out ahead of its skis, and it's just one to kind of watch for you guys out there. And obviously, the market has no. Well, we can talk about that too if you like. No, this is the 1960 Muhammed Ali. Take a look at that one for me. The HEMMETS Ali. It's a BVG8, and I want to talk to you about that. Okay. So this is a card that had IPO'd at 10 with 5,750 shares, which means it's a $57,500 valuation on a BVG8. All right. It last week was 7.5 and fell from 7.5 to 525. Took a heck of a beating week over week. Right. Wasn't one that Collectable, pointed out, but it's one that if you look at the charts, you see that little weird spike up, down, you name it. Here's my take on this one, right? If you look at the valuation now at 525, you're talking about a market cap that's just under 30, right?
Yep.
Your market cap just under $30,000.
Yep.
So let me ask you. So let's just call it a $30,000 card. Let me ask you, because comps are tough. There are not a lot of BVG cards out there because Beckett for vintage is not the best place to be. At least that's my own personal take. Some people love Beckett. Most people are modern Beckett investors. I've had a vintage card in Beckett, one of my first ones that I bought, and it was a big mistake. Turns out the card wasn't a PSA holder with a lot lower of a grade. You name it. All kinds of fun story for another day. What would you, in PSA terms, what would you consider a BVG8?
Raw card.
A raw card. Yeah, pretty much. So let's take it this way, right? I don't think anybody in their right mind considers it a PSA 8, or else it would be in a PSA slab. All right.
The only thing it has going for it, Cage, is it's very nicely centered.
It's a gorgeous card. Don't get me wrong. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous card. But I think
you go. Sorry.
I would say in best case scenario for it, right, would be that it's a PSA 7. Right, that's about as good as you can expect. If you're the holder of that BVG 8, right, you're thinking that is, that's a PSA 7 on its best day, right? Well, if you look just right on PSA's website, it's an eBay auction. You got to think maybe more of these came out and more of these were graded.
Is this a true rookie in your opinion?
It depends on what you consider a rookie. So this was not a card issued like this. This was issued in a book, like a little binder with 4 cards on one page. And you actually had to not even perforated. You had to hand cut each of the cards out. PSA actually has, if you look at the PSA website on this, actually has the hand cut individual cards, and they grade the whole page. It's sort of like the 58 Gazzetta of Pele that has the one with Garincha panel, right? Or by itself, they'll grade it both ways. It's the same kind of thing. But there's the last sale on this on a PSA 8 is a 639 PSA slab. What does that tell you? Real recent grade, right? It's a 6. It's it's been graded this year. So either it's a crossover or it's a new card or people are cutting these or whatever it is. And this is a card that really got ahead of itself. And even in a PSA 8, right? Even in a PSA 8, which even a PSA 7, which was selling for a good amount of money last year. PSA 7s in October of last year, they were between $20,000 and $30,000, right? Which puts the market cap at this right where it is currently. Definitely not at the 7 and change that it was at last week. But the last sale on this, January 31st of 2022, the last sale, you guys could just check this right on PSA website. It was $16,877. Okay, that's a PSA 7. I think that compares to a BVG 8. There are some people who would much rather have a 7 in PSA than a BVG 8. And if you can get a PSA 7, this is one comp, guys. This is one comp. So just keep that in mind. It's just one sale. But if you have the ability to get a PSA 7 for $16,000 and a BVG 8 is sitting with a market cap of 30, That's just something for you to look at if this is a card you're holding. There's a reason, obviously, why the valuation came down, from 7 and change a share, which would, put this significantly higher to, maybe 40-something thousand, to now down in the $30,000 range at 5 and change. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one go down a little bit further as well. But, we're here to do an analysis of the numbers. When I look at the charts, by the way, I don't know if I ever told you this. When I look at the charts and I look at the data, I don't even look at the card. The first thing I do is I look at the charts. I write down what the data is, what the market cap is, what the IPO is, you name it. And then after I've done that, I look back at what the card is. That's how I come up with my cards.
IPO is the cherry on top and not the decision maker.
Yeah, the IPO is nice. Well, what I mean is I don't even know what card I'm looking at. When I look at the data, we have a spreadsheet. I swing all the way over to the last couple of weeks of trading, and I take notes on how the thing is trading, you name it, and then I swing back and see what card it is. Pretty crazy, right? So I try to take that whole my own bias of I like this guy, I don't like this guy. I try to take that out of the equation and what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's sheer numbers. It's not it's how the asset is trading over the last couple of weeks, and look at what the pattern is, and then I go back and look at the cards. It's how I wound up with a Muhammed Ali, a Messi. These are not in my wheelhouse, but a card that is sort of my wheelhouse, and we could talk about it again. It's come down from the IPO. Might be an opportunity if you missed the IPO to get in now at a good price. The Shoeless Joe 1915 Sporting News. It's a pretty cool card. You can take a look at it if you like. But the Shoeless Joe 1915 Sporting News IPO'd at 10 a share with 8,975 shares. So that puts it at just under $90,000 market cap, and it's come for trading now, and it was just a gorgeous card. That same picture I think was used in a Gimples version. That same him swinging has been used in a bunch of different cards. I think this one's a blank back. I'm not 100% sure. They're all ones that have stuff on the back.
You're absolutely right.
But it came out and it's been trading. And you look, it doesn't have a huge chart, right? You can't pull up even more than a month on this one, right? Because it's only been trading for a couple weeks. But it came out in secondary, 849, 855. And then last week dropped from 855 down to 606 a share, right? From $10. Means we're down, 39% on this one. And it's taking the market cap from what was 90,000, to sitting now at around 54,000 for the market cap.
54,300 exactly.
So I mean, just it's a nice
40%.
card. It's down 40%. And is that an overreaction? Is that somebody who was trying to get liquidity out to maybe move it into some of the other cooler IPOs that are on here? I don't know the answer. I'm a big Shoeless Joe fan. Actually, for Christmas, somebody bought me a Shoeless Joe mitt, which is kind of cool. You have a Shoeless Joe book. That's right. My son has a Shoeless Joe book. See, and it's one of those cool things, right? Where we talk about, flight to quality and moving to vintage. You were at a show in Atlanta and people were talking about Mickey Mantle and Jackie Robinson and Roberto Clemente. This kind of checks that box also. But really what swung my attention to it was the fact that it came out for trading and it's now 40% with a big dip week over week. So it's one to keep an eye on.
Let's stay on the name Joe. Okay, real quick. So we'll keep going a little back and forth ping pong.
Shoot.
So
Do it.
I was at the Atlanta show last week. We talked about how vintage was super in demand. Well, let's be more specific. It was baseball vintage, Mickey Mantle, DiMaggio, all those guys. So it was baseball that was in demand. What if we make a projection that football is going to be next? Football vintage has not moved. This Joe Montana PSA 10 is basically flat to what it was 6 to 9 months ago. And I know that's the way it is. But with vintage going up, I think it's natural to think, Mickey Mantle's up literally 100% or even more in some cases. Maybe football sees a little bit of a run. So this thing IPO, this Joe Montana, PSA 10 rookie. What are they? Cage, you know this card. You love this card. How many of them are there?
Yep. There's about 100. I think like 112, 115, something like that. I mean, I can look it up for you.
108. It says it right here. 108. And there was just a sale. Memory Lane, February 19th for $85,000. Yet the
one way back up
on Collectable is trading at $68,000. Basically flat. IPO'd at $65,000.
Dude, so great call.
What I think you're going to start seeing next is a little bit of a run on vintage football. And it doesn't just mean Montana, Rice, Herschel Walker, Walter Payton, Jim Brown. I think those guys are also that, handful of guys like the Mantles, DiMaggio, Ted Williams.
I'm gonna pile on you, Montana. I love it. guys, just for the sake of clarity, while I don't own any shares here or in any collectible or any fractional platform, I do own one of those cards. I do own a Joe Montana PSA 10. I do, so I want to make sure that's clear right off the bat. And here is the little cherry on top of Andrew's analysis. Look, you got to comp the card. It peaked, it went up. I think it was like $100,000 card. Came back down into the 50s, 60s, and that's moving back up. The supply came out after it had those record-breaking sales, like the Jordan did, and all that stuff. It kind of came back. But here's where I go with Montana, right? All of these new young quarterbacks that are coming out now, that people are investing in at higher and higher prices, they only help Montana down the road, just like they will eventually help Tom Brady when Tom Brady is actually retired, which I don't believe he is. So they'll get there. A little fun one, right? For
you miss football, man. You're a football guy.
I do miss football. I like football. I like watching football. It's an easy sport, right? I get the whole week's games right there, one day and a half, sometimes Thursday. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Football is a sport that I understand the strategy the least.
All right, well, beat the hell out of the other team and move the ball. So here you go. Why Montana is a safe and sound investment over the long haul is because whether it's Josh Allen that becomes the great quarterback, or Mahomes that becomes the great quarterback, or one of the new guys, Mac Jones, or if it's Joe Burrow, or if it's Justin Herbert, one of those guys is going to succeed, just like you saw Burrow do. Right? One or two or three of those guys. And as they succeed, and as they win Super Bowls, their cards set new highs. And right now, Joe Montana's card is here, and those guys' cards are trying to chase Montana. Look, Brady's here. Montana's here. All these other guys are coming up on Montana, but here's what happens. You don't have to pick which one of those guys is going to be successful, because not all of them can. One of them will be, and their cards are going to move up like this. And the Montana's going to have to do this with it, just like the Brady's going to have to do that with it. Now, it's not sexy. It's not like I'm picking the right guy. It's not, you don't have the ability to say, hey, I was on Herbert when people thought Burrow was better. And 3 years from now, you're gloating because Herbert has won an MVP and a Super Bowl. And you're like, that offseason where Burrow went to the Super Bowl and people were giving me Herbert's at a discount. Great. You might be right. And you're probably going to make more doing that. But you have a 1 in 10 chance in that AFC alone. Who knows where Russell Wilson and where Aaron Rodgers and maybe Tom Brady, who knows where they're going to be? Who knows who's going to win, right? But what you can do is, like I said, not as sexy, not as I was there first. Montana, he moves. And part of the reason Montana's cards moved was because Mahomes' cards were moving the way they were. Part of the reason that Jordan's card moves because LeBron's and Luka's and all the other cards are moving. So one of the fun things about vintage, although it's, like you say, it doesn't give you that rush of like, hey, I'm watching a game and my guy just put up a 50 piece, right? It doesn't give you that. It's over time, someone now is going to have an increase in price, and that will, the rising tide, lift all ships. You are in a GOAT. That's why I like that.
If we want to even give it another little catalyst, or so to speak, Emmitt Smith was during an era of a lot of cards produced, right?
Yep.
Johnny Unitas, no one really remembers or talks about him. Joe Montana fits in that perfect era where there's one true rookie, where he, like you even said, he's vintage, but he's not really vintage enough that he's forgotten yet. And he's not too modern where he has 6 different rookie cards to invest in. Montana and Rice are a really interesting tandem. They fit perfectly into the cards player's legacy. They check all those boxes that you want to invest, because one rookie, right? Super accomplished, one team, low pop on the PSA 10s. It checks all those boxes that makes it very investable.
Yep. 100%.
All right. Two buyouts this week. One rejected, one accepted. Oscar Robertson, Cincinnati Royals game-worn jersey, accepted 97% for a $320,000 buyout offer. It IPO'd at $268,000. Then the precious metal gems Tim Duncan BGS 8, that was rejected. It IPO'd at $219. The offer was for $300, but it's trading at $550. So thank you guys for being smart. What else you got for me, Cage?
So there's only 2 other ones that kind of came up on my, my radar, the blips on the screen. And these are interesting plays. The 1969 Topps basketball set. Can you pull that one up for me? So it didn't fall in my, oh, wow, it's below the IPO. Look at what we brought, right? The Messi is down 50% and the Shoeless Joe is down 40%. Those kind of, they're red flags for me. Like, what's going on? Why are they so below the IPO? The 69 Topps basketball set, which, by the way, is a jumbo card set, right? They're in larger holders, right? But an iconic set. What does that say? 152? Look at that. So there's the Wilt, right? Will Chamberlain in high grade, and Lou Alcindor is one of the big ones. Oscar Robertson, look at that.
I think if I had to choose, Cage, I would live in the 60s.
Jerry West.
Like, if I could go back to one era.
Lou Alcindor, 8.
Cage, what era would you go back?
You'd go back to the 60s? I don't know, man. Maybe like prehistoric times, Like, I think I'll go back there, hang out with some dinosaurs. I don't know, dude. The 50s seem pretty cool. 50 seemed pretty cool. Like I wouldn't know how to dance. I wouldn't have to know how to do anything. The 50s kind of seem, I don't know. 50s seem kind of cool. Plus my hair would kind of be in style there, I think.
I think so too.
Very greasy.
You got an Elvis vibe too. So the top 1969 basketball set, 152,000, IPO'd at basically the same price. IPO'd at 148. Now it's 153.
Correct. So it's basically at the IPO price. Yep. $25 a share, and it's back to $25.75. It was $30 per share last week, and kind of you see that if you go like the last month, it kind of came down a little bit. Obviously, it's been at a high. Here's why I singled this one out for folks. Right, there has been a little bit of increased attention on iconic basketball set building. The 86 Fleer set is one that this set would probably be like second to that. We talk about the 86 Fleer set with the Michael Jordan rookie, but there have been some recent sales, Johnny Moore, Jeff Malone,
Kevin Malone,
where people, no, it was Jeff Malone. Kevin Malone's from The Office, right? Yay, I got it. I got your reference. So, by the way,
someone left a comment, Cage. He said, love the show. We're getting more and more comments on YouTube every single day. Guys, thank you so much, because those are fun, man. All of those are like, hey, can Andrew get a light, or is he in witness protection? But one was like, love the show, but guys, don't fight. Like, every time you guys fight or disagree, I think the show's going to be over, and I listen every day.
No, we're not going anywhere. I'm gonna do an
I think the fighting is what makes us respect each other. We Cage and I, we can disagree, and 5 minutes later, it's all love.
I get text messages that say, okay, 10 minutes in, I had to stop listening and go and get it on YouTube to see whether you guys were really mad at each other or if it was just kind of like for the show. They're like, YouTube brings a whole nother layer. And so Jordan Ferrone, that was a good text from you. What'd you think, man? Was I really angry or what? Somebody who knows the background. But no, so just to finish the point on this one, right? I think that there's been.
I'm going on mute.
Yeah, you can. I do that a lot. But so the 86 set, people are buying the cards to fill the setup, right? And there's been a lot of talk about the 86 Fleer complete set and how it hasn't caught up to those pieces yet. And I've been talking to a bunch of people who are saying, they may pick up these complete sets because one just sold for, think about it. One just sold for like $500,000, right? The complete set. Now, if you take out the Jeff Malone, which sold for $70,000, right? And you take out the Johnny Moore that sold for nearly $100,000, and the Michael Jordan, which is, almost $300,000. Guess what? You almost have your whole set price right there. You break it up, you throw those out, and now if you're a set breaker, now you're sitting there with a $10,000 Hakeem Olajuwon, a Charles Barkley that's almost $10,000. You're sitting there with the Drexler rookie. You're sitting there with, the Kareem that sells for a crazy amount of money now in PS10, and all the other low pop 10s that sell for a ton of money as well. You're talking about like Adrian Dantley, you name it, the whole deal. So why this set caught my attention? It's not a ton of high grade 1969 basketball sets out there. It's a hard set to get in high grade.
Very all-centered.
Yeah,
very
right? Like that Jerry Weston a 9. Like if you're out there trying to make a set, like that card could be, a very impressive piece for somebody who's increasing. And this one has, what does it say? Can you
call him the logo, please?
The logo. If you can pull this one up, normally when sets are out there, they have GPAs. So I'm curious what is a GPA? It's it's like a grade.
You guys know he was 16th in his class.
After one semester, I was 8th in my law school class, my first semester. But It is what it is. So pull this one up. Normally it says it's got a GPA.
It has it right here, 8.995.
So basically what that's telling you guys is that this complete set has an average PSA grade of 8.995. It means that the set overall is almost a 9 when you average out all of the grades together. And we saw there were some 8s. Jerry West was a 9. You didn't even look through the set. But I put this one out there only because it wouldn't surprise me, especially with the recent dip that it had, if somebody took this off the market and broke it up and held it out there and said, okay, you're building a high-grade set. You're building a set of 9s. All right, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to break this one up, and I'll sell the Jerry West 9 to somebody for a ton of money, and I'm going to sell this 9 to somebody for a ton of money, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's my thought on this one. I don't know whether or not, I can't tell you how many complete sets there are out there, right? They don't measure that, right? Anybody can build sets, but this is just one where I could say, look at the cards, man. What do you think of these cards? Look at that. Wolf Frazier. That's a 9.
I think they're very cool. I think they're very cool, man.
I mean, I've had.
It's also interesting to see. It's also interesting to see the difference between 8s and 9s in this, because it feels like the difference between them is so small. But 2 8s got 2 really nicely centered 8s here. This is a really nicely centered 8.
Yeah,
and
I mean, listen. But I mean, Wilt, there's only 9 9s. So this is an 8. There's only 115 8s. This is one of those cards where there's one of these things where, some of them don't have 10s. So, depending upon who, just cycle through some of the other names for me.
These are only the pictures. Do you want me? Let me see the names.
Well, West is a 9, right?
West was a 9.
Yeah, there's only 17 9s,
Oscar Robertson was an 8. A little bit off-centered right to left. Jerry West, 9. This is a really nice one. Kind of looks like his portrait. Lou Alcindor, 8. Really nicely centered 8. Bill Bradley, that's a nice 8. Card. Bill Bradley, 8. Elgin Baylor, 8. Earl Monroe, 9.
Earl.
Dave DeBoucher, 9.
Dave DeBusschere.
Walt Frazier.
Dave DeBusschere, 9. By the way, there's only 14 Dave DeBusschere 9s and no 10s. So you got somebody building a set of those. Oh, do me a favor. Look up Dave DeBusschere. Come on now. And Jerry West, there's 110 and 18 9s. And one of those 18 9s is in this set. So this is what I'm talking about, right? Like somebody could take this set out and take it off market, buy a West 8, sell the West 9 for a significant amount of money to somebody, still have this amazing set, and take some money off the table by doing it that way. You know what I mean? Or just sell some of those 9s, some of those pieces. So it's just one of those, interesting, ways. Frazier was a 9 on there, I think. There's 110 and 17 9s. So I think you're going to see a little bit more of this. It's a recent trend. Take a look at some of the 86 Fleer sales that you're looking at. Like I said, Johnny Moore, Jeff Malone, those guys, and you're going to see the set building, putting these, these high profile basketball sets together. This one fits the bill. Jumbo, Alcindor's rookie, a lot of great cards.
So IPOs, 1948 Leaf Warren Spahn, PSA 9, completely funded. Early access, if you guys open the app, you'll get early access to it, I believe. 1968 Milton Bradley, Nolan Ryan, PSA 9. $154,000 market cap, 32% retained. Beautiful Nolan Ryan, Milton Bradley card. I think one of our listeners graded that card, got an 8, right?
Nolan Ryan, you got a 9, actually.
Wow.
Graded it wrong, got a 9. And, that card has continued to go up.
That's a game changer. That's a life card. Good for you, man. 1969 Reggie Jackson. People don't like him, but he's well accomplished. That is what I learned. Oakland A's game worn and photo match jersey, $157,750. That's interesting, man, because he's such an accomplished athlete, and this is a one of one. Is there one collector out there who really wants this? So, 2002 Panini Portugal stickers, Cristiano Ronaldo PSA 10, 109,000 market cap with 45% retained. Kobe 2016 game worn Black History Month photo matched sneakers, 72,000, nothing retained. The lithograph one-of-one exclusive Dave Bing Player Edition, 100K market cap. And Duncan Yao Dirk, the funniest exquisite logo, man, on the market. Get your hands on it. 163,000 with 45% retained.
Right,
This is
before we let
hilarious.
the
I'm
folks
gonna
go,
get a
let me
laugh
ask you
on
a
it.
question. Yeah, I mean, last question
Yao
for
Dirk,
you.
Yao Dirk and Tim Duncan walk into a bar.
Put some respect on those guys.
They're all
Great
incredible.
players, but yeah, interesting logo, man, though, for the three of those guys together. Okay, so we've seen what things like The Last Dance will do to cards. Those are documentaries, right? What about a scripted drama, loosely based in fact? The one that's, I think, coming out today, right? About the Lakers. Do you think it has any impact on Laker cards, Laker items,
Showtime
the winning
Lakers?
time on HBO, winning time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty? So that's what it's called. It's on HBO. It's, Lakers dynasty. Collectable has the 1980 Topps Bird Magic Irving PSA 9. It has the PSA 8 basket of two of them. It's got the dual logo man of Magic and Bird that you spoke about. It's got the triple signatures of Jordan, Magic, and LeBron. It's got the Upper Deck Black Quad BGS Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, and Magic card.
I'll put it to you this way. If the movie The Wolf of Wall Street can make Jordan Belfort look good, then HBO Showtime Lakers can make Magic and Bird look good.
Okay.
Too fucking shay, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna make them look good, but do you think that has an impact on their assets? Like, would you be looking to grab some Laker stuff?
If the DiCaprio or Jordan Belfort had rookie cards after Wolf of Wall Street came out, people would be running for them, guaranteed. Tops now that.
Is that like a top 10 movie of yours?
No, I don't like that movie at all. Too much drugs. And they're mean to the little midgets. They throw them at Velcro. And they shave that girl's head. Oh, my God.
But we're not allowed to say that. Oh. P.S.
We're not allowed to say midgets? They are midgets.
To the folks who listen to this show, one, English is not his first language. Two, hearing Andrew say this movie is not my favorite because there's too much drugs is like me saying I don't like going to a buffet because there's too much food. I mean, there's some irony in there, my friend. There's some irony in there. But it is what it is. And I think we've completed another episode of the Fractional Report, brought to you by Collectable before the opening bell. Happy trading out there, guys. We hope you found some value in this. And feel free to jump on Collectable's Discord. There's a section in there, of course, that has questions for us. You can drop any questions you have about specific assets, about overall trading ideas. Any questions you have, drop them in there. I answer them on the Discord, but we'll even go a step further. Maybe going forward, we can try to take some questions out of there and discuss them on our next episode. Maybe pull 1, 2, or 3 questions out from the Discord. But go ahead and join that. They do awesome trivia and some fun stuff in their Discord as well.
How do they join it? How do they join it?
On Discord. I think on the Collectable site is an invite to the Discord. If not, if you have any trouble joining Discord, just send Andrew or myself a message on any social media platform. You can find us on Twitter, on Instagram. You can go through the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze website. You can go through whatever it is. You'll find us anywhere. And
we'll have some fun, guys. If you're listening to this show, okay, and you join the Discord, post a question and answer this question. Now that Kevin Durant is back, is he a buy? Is Kevin Durant a buy? Yes or no? Why? Put that in the question and ask a question. We'll pick 3 people and we'll give Tiger NFTs to you guys. Cool?
Ooh, wow.
Love you, Luca Nation.
Take care.